everybody, today I'm bringing you this layout with some photographs of the flowers in my yard this spring. It's a new yard to me, so it was fun discovering these, and tulips happen to be my absolute favorite flower, so that's what I'm going to go with. I have the pink paisley fancy free paper pad there, and I was thinking I was going to use that first paper, and then I just quick thumbed through that pad looking for some other papers and found this other background that I absolutely love. So that's the paper I'm actually going to use. I don't have names of these papers because it is the 12 by 12 pad, but I'm using that light pink polka dot and then the polka dot, and then I'll use that, it's like a little chevron arrow, aqua chevron arrow there. You're going to see me touching in front of me quite a bit, and my iPad sitting in front of me. The coolest thing happened. I have a nephew who graduated. This is actually NSD here, National Scrapbook Day. He graduated in South Dakota on this day, and I couldn't go to the graduation, but I was able to watch him graduate. I'm just going to talk about this quick. One of the things I thought about doing was running those photographs vertically, and I actually didn't like the way the stack looked with that umbrella in the middle of it. So that's why I changed my mind. So what happened here is my sister, just an aside here, texted me quick and said that the graduation was being live streamed on YouTube. So I actually was watching him graduating while I was making this layout. And right there, he actually just walked across the stage. So so that's why I was clapping. So silly. Very proud of Aunt. He's my he's my youngest nephew. He graduated from college on National Scrapbook Day, and he'll be getting married 2 weeks after that. By the time you see this, he'll be married, and you'll start seeing layouts with him in it, you know, probably about a month or so, maybe a little bit after that, because I'm going to do their wedding album. So let's go back to the layout I'm working on, because lots of personal life stuff there. But really, I haven't done a heck of a lot. I pulled out that acrylic floral that I think I want to use, and now I'm just looking at the spacing on these border strips that I'm going to be using. I want the bottom border to be a little bit thicker because of the weight. The weight will then be towards the bottom of the layout, and that will give some balance to the layout. And you'll see me do that in just a second. I also ink these papers. I've said this before as I've used this collection. I almost always think they need a little bit of ink because it really just helps define the edges of the papers. And I actually remembered to ink these before they went on the page. I'm using Jenny Bolin fountain pen ink. She hasn't made ink in quite a few years, but that's what they are. So now I'm looking at these edges and trying to decide what I want to do. And as I'm putting that in there pretty quickly, as I did that quickly, it took a little bit more time in real time, but I'm looking at that going, okay, I like the top border, but I'm thinking there's not enough of a bottom border there. I did forget to tell you where that card came from. It says April showers bring May flowers, and that's a printable that was on Jen Gallagher's website, so on her blog. So it's Gallacher if you just put Jen Gallagher in there. And she offers free printables from time to time. I just thought that was really cute. And a lot of times I may not use them right away, but I'll print them for later, and then I do save them to my computer. So if I want to use it again next year or another time, I can do that. So now we're actually getting to those borders. And at the moment, I don't have a blue border at the top, if you can see that. I'm playing with it a little bit here and looking for more blue paper because I used the last scrap of blue there, and I've decided what I want to do is I want to put a blue border to the top of this layout. That's why I grabbed that paper. I'm just pulling things out. Oh, the other thing I did here is I have my box of flares sitting next to me because I'd used flare on the layout before this one, and I grabbed two pieces that I thought might work from Fancy Pants from the Memories Captured collection. It's the Flare from Memories Captured. And they're going to work perfectly. I've had this collection for quite a while. Definitely are these Flare probably for 3 years, maybe more. And I just haven't used these up, but the colors ended up being just perfect with this layout. So I'm so glad that I was able to use it. I actually have used a lot of my Flare. I actually put an order into just for buttons, or a Flare for buttons, sorry, a couple of weeks ago, because I had very few bright colors of Flare left. It seemed to be all sort of themey. So I have some of that, but I did get to use these older Flare on this layout, which is cool. So I've now decided where that border, what I want that border to look like. And I'm going to get that glued down first, because once I glue that down, then I can adjust the other ones. And you can see that I've made the border on the bottom there even a little bit deeper, or I was thinking about doing a little bit deeper. I have a wonky camera angle on this one, so you're seeing my t-shirt. It was really warm. I live in Wisconsin. It was really warm this weekend in the 70s. It was just beautiful. So I actually had short sleeves on in May. As a matter of fact, I did not scrap on Friday night until very late because it was so beautiful. I sat out on my deck and read and drank wine instead of scrapbooking. Yes, I did. And it was wonderful. I made memories and took some pictures, which I scrapbooked that weekend actually. So now I have that border down, and I've revealed an awful lot about myself, maybe too much. Anyway, I have the border down. So I'm just getting edges glued down here so that things aren't coming up. I love this collection, and it's so sad that there's all the problems that there are with it and that they're discontinuing it. I'd love to get a hold of the chipboard, but I don't think that's going to be possible. I've looked all over the place and I haven't seen it. So it's probably one of those things that was coming in a second order to retailers, and it's not going to happen now. So I've taken that acrylic floral there, and then the buttons, and I'm just playing around with the clusters. I'm going to do a cluster right at the, it's not going to end up exactly as it is right now, but it'll be towards the bottom right of those layers, and then the top left as well. Just trying to figure out. I liked the little polka dot arrow, but it was too much like the pattern paper there, so I found that other arrow that says favorite, and that is from the Pink Paisley Fancy Free ephemera there. What I've decided to do is I'm going to take this acrylic and I'm going to put it on a piece of cardstock, and then I'm going to cut out around it. But because you'll see most of this acrylic, what I'm doing is I'm taking some micro dots, some micro glue dots there, and I'm putting it in the flower centers, and you really just about can't see these at all. You really have to know what you're looking for to understand that there's actually a glue dot behind that acrylic there. I just have a really hard time using acrylics the way they are. Most of the time I have to do what I'm doing now, which is put a piece of cardstock behind it. Part of the reason I think I have a hard time using them, and I think I even talked about this in one of my other videos that I taped and voiced over already, is that I use a lot of pattern paper. I mostly use pattern paper as backgrounds and a lot of my layers. So the acrylics a lot of times just don't show up very well on those. If you use white backgrounds or solid backgrounds, they're going to show up definitely better than they will, especially on a pattern paper background this busy. So, but I love the way this busy background looks, and the layers really quiet the photo block, and that's one of the reasons that I use this particular form. So there we go. Now I have an idea of where I want that acrylic to go, but I decided to switch out the flare because the acrylic has quite a bit of color in it. I wanted the black and white flare down there, and then the Oh Snap one with more color is up at the top, where that's going to be a little bit more plain up there. That So Fun circle that's there is actually something I cut out of one of the pieces of paper. I just circle punched it and cut it out. And you see some more right there on the right by my hand. And I'm thinking here, wow, this seems really simple. Am I done? You know, are there other things that I should be putting on this layout, or am I really finished? And that's, you know, that's what's running through my mind as I'm starting to get these clusters, you know, done. Do I do a third cluster? And, you know, we hear a lot about the rule of 3 and people cluster in 3. You don't necessarily have to do that. If you look at what I've done, I have 2 clusters here on a diagonal, and the photos are in between those clusters. So that's how your eye is drawn across this particular page, is that the clusters are on the diagonal, not that there's 3 clusters. So the rule of 3 is not, you don't always have to use it. And I do use diagonal clustering quite a bit on my layouts. So not only did I not use the rule of 3, but I used uneven numbers of clusters. Breaking all the rules. Or not really, because I'm using a diagonal. I took a Heidi Swap class of, oh my goodness, now it's probably almost 10 years ago. It is almost 10 years ago. It'll be, because it was a class in 2007 called A Year to Remember. And she talked about diagonals on your page a lot. And that rule has just, or the rule or that design principle has just really stuck in my head. I'm getting very close to being done here. I'm not going to journal much on this layout, just so you know. I'm going to just put the date on it because there's not much to say. It's just the spring flowers in my area here. But I did grab these My Mind's Eye Chalk Studio enamel dots. This pink color is perfect. And I'm going to put those on my layout. Put a couple of those down. I'm using my tweezers there to help position them. And I believe I used all of them. I thought, why not, right? And then I also am going to use a couple of gray ones from that same collection. Hope you're all well. The still shot and the detail shots are coming up. I'll be back with another layout soon. Bye!